Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. What we have is we have a sample lock on the bench, and it's just one that I purchased to have a look at it, see what the quality was, to see if it was worthwhile buying, because the supplier looks quite cheap. And I'm just looking at another lock here, and that's a iconic rim latch, dead latch, one of the ones from Bunnings. And what I'm noticing is here is if you look at that key shape there, it's like a little house shape. It looks very similar to the one we're going to look at now, so I wouldn't be surprised. Alright, unboxing, there we go. Done. Have a look at those keys. See those keys there? Have a look at these keys here. Identical. Absolutely identical. So either that's a very common profile, I mean they even look like they're chrome, or they're coming out of the same factory. I would be saying they come out of the same factory. There's no markings on this or anything like that. So, right, so tie bolt knob set, and I can already tell how cheap and nasty this is because the colour of the plug. If it's not even a chrome plated plug, a lot of the time it's pretty nasty, but I'll take it apart and I'll just have a look. So the actual tie bolt mechanism, this part here, that's pretty standard, like that's stainless steel wrapped. You can't really get that wrong. That generally doesn't fail. On this side of the fence here, the spring, that looks fine, everything looks okay there. Okay. Normally where it fails is behind the cylinder, and that's where we're going to have a look. The stainless steel knob, I mean, it's not going to change from a knob into a lever anytime soon. It's not going to fail like that, or the knob's really not going to come off. I have seen times when the knob's been ripped off by pure force. So everything looks okay, but just the not chrome plating the actual keyway there is, you know, a telltale sign of what's yet to come. Cylinders are always the nastiest part of these locks. Alright, so this should be the LW4 profile keyway, and I'll just grab another key just to check if it is. Yep, it is. Sometimes they can use quick set keys, sometimes they can, when that's kind of the shape of that one, sometimes they can use slightly smaller, or it's always smaller because of less material, slightly smaller keys, so they can be hard to duplicate in the future. But now they've used just a standard one, and I've got no troubles getting a standard, what's this, just a lock tong key in there. So if I can get that in there, it means all my key lengths and all the standard ones are actually, you know, going to be okay to duplicate. So let's just put the knob aside there. We haven't confirmed if it's even, you know, regular spacing or if it's something different. I would be saying it's probably just something different. Alright, so what I've just done there is I've just pulled the knob off. Oh yeah, here comes the fun bit. Let's put that aside for now. Let's have a look at the instructions just quickly. See, okay, so we've got all our general instructions there. Drill here, do this. Instructions for installation of tubular lock set. Okay, so really nothing there. You know, I would be quite surprised if there wasn't a spelling mistake in here. I always seem to find a few of them. On one vitamin, it was good for 3 years. T-R-E-E, 3 years. And often there is a few there. Anyway, I'm not going to go through and try and find that now. Instructions seem standard. They've got millimeters and inches, which is fine. 60 to 70 mil backset, which is fine. So that's a pass there. Our striker plate's a D-shaped striker plate. These always wear. I've seen this quality here before. As soon as they get used a couple of times, you're going to get gouges in this, and the chrome plating is just going to flake off. So it's doesn't get much cheaper. Okay, we've got 4 screws. They look alright. Could possibly be stainless, but yeah, maybe they are. That's probably the only quality bit there. A little strike keeper box. Yeah, plastic. Yep. 3 keys. So they've lashed out and actually given us 3 keys. Now let's go back to our iconic, and they've got 3 keys there too. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same iconic sort of stuff that's coming out of Bunnings. Alright, the latch itself changing from 60 to 70, that's fine. Now, one of the ways I've seen these locks, this quality of lock always play up, is the latch. And what happens is this little latch part separates from the drive mechanism. So you see how it's driving now? What happens is that stays there, and you be turning the handle and nothing's happening. And this part gets stuck on the edge of the door in the keeper. So there's basically a big chunk of metal, and that's how much gap is in between the door. Big chunk of metal that's fallen off its post here, and it's trapped. So literally, what I've had to do many times is drill the whole lock off and basically, you know, get that open. And it's a nightmare. It's called what we like to call a jammed latch. Okay, now let's get to the meat and the sandwich, and let's have a look at this cylinder. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is one of those ones where the cylinder can go sideways and do funny little Pilates movements inside the housing. So somebody gave me a tip a little while ago on one of my videos. He says put a key in it. I was like, yeah, so simple, thank you. Why didn't I do it? I don't know. Alright, that's off. Here she comes. Alright, Look at that. So that is die cast. I guess the scientific name for that is cheap Chinese crap. As cheap as you can make it. Okay, die cast, not even brass. The capping on the top is okay, it's in there tight. I recoated one of these a week ago, and basically as I was recoating it and I was just holding it in my hand, it snapped along here and here. The whole top, what some people call the Bible or whatever, but I just call it the housing, it snapped. And it was like literally snapped in my hand. That's how bad it was. Now, you think you can't get any worse by having a die cast housing. I mean, it is a brass plug, which is kind of good, but you can. And let's have a look and see what they've done inside to save time and money and all that sort of stuff. So when you look at these locks, I mean, when you were to look at this, and I'm going to compare it to just a standard carbine or even a Brava off the shelf, and I'll show you what they look like when you look at them side by side. And this is why a lot of people are coming unstuck when going to Bunnings, because they're just picking up these locks that look identical and they can't tell the difference. And the difference is when you're stuck inside your house and you're calling a locksmith because your $10 lock has fallen apart internally or played up. Come on, circlip. I should have got some better circlips. Struggling with bag tools. Alright, let's go for the other option now of just stretching it. And to be quite honest, yeah, this was a sample that I paid for, but I'm pretty much just going to bin it after this. It's rubbish. I can't use it. I'd never put it on a customer's door. I wouldn't even put it on a door that I don't use that often. It's just absolute rubbish. Alright, come on off, circlip. You've taken enough of my time today. Get my little tiny... There we go. Okay, circlip off. Okay, now we need the most important tool, which is a follower. Where's a follower? Alright, we just use the lightsaber follower for now. Okay, key in. Now this is the time when a lot of the time you're going to get stuck, and I need a piece of shim. Now I don't know if I need this piece of shim, but judging by my experience and the quality that's been demonstrated from this unique piece of mechanical ingenuity, I'm going to use a follower, shim and follower to pull it apart. Alright, there we go. Bring it back up the top. There we go. Alright, shim between the plug and the bottom pins. My follower doesn't even fit. This is an undersized follower. Normally it's like 12.5. This is like 12 mil, and it doesn't even fit. Interesting. They come up with their own size plugs now. Cool. Can we get anything to fit in here? No. Look at that. See the difference? That's a couple of mil. Alright, so we're going to use the makeshift follower, which a lot of locksmiths use out on the job, and it's called a drill bit. Where is a drill bit? Here's one. So this is an emergency follower. Okay, that's working good. Alright, yep, and I was right. What was I right about? Okay, well have a look. Have a look at that. I'm actually going to zoom you right in so you can see. And just focus you. There we go. Now, a normal plug, let me show you what a normal plug looks like, because I've got a stack of them here. That's a normal plug. That's solid brass with a nice coating on the front, and even though it gets worn, it still ends up being quite nice, quite sturdy. You can see the difference. One is brass, solid brass, and the other one is solid brass that's been milled to the shit house. So what they've actually done is they've milled these side, I guess you could call them air vents for some strange reason, or heat sink in a lock that doesn't need a heat sink, or perhaps they're just doing it because they want to save money on the metal. I'm going for the third option, because if they mill out all this metal right here, they can reuse that and it didn't cost them as much. It might even be casted. There is a line along here, so that's probably casted. Yeah, I'd say maybe it's a casted product with a quick machining cleanup. And then you go to the pins too, and you think we can't get any worse. No, we can. Let me show you. See if I got my verniers working here. Alright, standard size pin, standard size, used in the industry, used everywhere. Where's the little scrappy pin? Here we go. How big? 2.94. Cheap Chinese lock, crappy lock. How big? 2.58. Sorry, I'm off camera there. 2.58. So basically, I don't know, 0.3 of a mil different. And why is that a problem? Well, that is a problem when you pull out your pins and you try and rekey one of these locks. Customers bought it. They just want you to rekey it. Do it on camera. And you go to rekey it. And I'm trying to put a 4-pin in there. It doesn't fit. Sometimes you get lucky. It doesn't fit. And before you think, oh no, what do I do? Do I just change the cylinder out? Generally, you can't just swap these cylinders out for another one because they're not going to be the same size. And then you've even got to have one of these replacement cylinders from like an urban range, Bravo Urban or something like that, or a similar type product. But you can't get a cylinder. So your pins aren't going to even fit. You can't rekey it. If you do try and pull it apart, a lot of the time what happens is that as you pull it apart, you turn it and then you pull it, all your top pins get stuck in here and create a jammed situation where you're pretty much chucking the lock away. So was this done to save money, or was it done to deliberately stuff you up when you try and rekey your locks? It's out there for debate, but I wouldn't put that on anywhere. I mean, you could literally snap that in half. That's just rubbish. A bit of a hit with a screwdriver. The actual top section here as well, I've seen them go. This one, yeah, I won't be able to do it with my hands, but it's thin as anything. Just absolute rubbish. So yeah, I'd never put one of these on anyone's place. Not even someone I didn't like, I wouldn't put one of these on because they just jam up and play up. The cylinders, if you leave them alone and you use them for what they are, they're generally okay. As far as picking them, no, they're not great. Sorry, they're not good security in any fashion. Let's see if I can just show you what the pins look like. Okay, so here's some pins here. I'm going to zoom you into here. Oh, that's as far as I can go. Oh, I've run out of zoom. Well, at least we can focus. Right, so here's the pins here, right? If you look at them, you'll actually see that it's ramped, like you've got the pin side, but then you've got on the other side, it's almost the same as the tip side, meaning that the pins have more tolerance than normal. If you look at a standard pin, here's a standard pin, we've got the point on one side. Now this point on this side actually is where they go into the key. That point helps the key go in and helps the key go out. That's why the point is there. On the top you have a flat section. This is called the shear line. That is where all the pins marry up to here, and then the top pins basically don't move anywhere, so they can rotate around. Now what they do on these locks, because they're made of such rubbish tolerances, is they put like a point almost on both sides. That creates probably at least a 1 cut difference. And what I mean by that is that my shitty pinning kit here, if you can see that, where are we? Okay, so we've got different sizes here. Difference between 1 and 2. If you had a lock where you had, let's say just one pin, and it was meant to be a number 1, okay, and your key was cut down to a number 2, you might be able to get that working. But using these type of pins, okay, it shouldn't work. Even with the smallest of difference, because having two surfaces butted up together mean that it's more, less tolerance. Less tolerance, more security. And with these pins, by having 2 domed pins on either side, gives you a tolerance of 1-2 cuts easily, which gives you less security, more susceptible to jiggling, picking, bumping, anything that you want. To pick this would have been absolutely not a problem. Alright, let's just have a look at another lock as a comparison. Alright, so I'm going to pull out just a carbine. Alright, just quickly flick that over. Alright, latch for latch. Unless you're a locksmith, you're not going to pick them apart, but I know for sure this one's better. Okay, have a look at that, have a look at that. This one's made in Taiwan, this one's not made anywhere. I'm going to zoom you out here, okay. Sorry to zoom. Okay, don't know why it's going a bit dark. The rest of it, knob for knob, I mean, you can look at it. Generally, there's nothing in that. There's nothing in that. You wouldn't be able to tell them. And of course, this one has a chrome finish and is a complete plug. This one here is like this. It's just solid. So you can see difference there. The rest of it, you can't really see too much difference, height-wise, spacing-wise, drive-wise. They're all, it's all looking identical. But where the difference is on the smaller parts. The cylinders, the keys, the mechanisms. Right, so let's just pull that out. So the keys itself, we only get 2 keys. They have the pinning number on them, carbine, they're a lot better. Let's just check out the, let's just see if our spacing is the same here. No. No, they're off. They're off. So that's Lockwood spacing, so that you can key the rest of your house up to these keys and use them around. This is some other sort of spacing. Could be quick set. Someone will know. We've got a D-shaped striker. Once again, proper chrome plate finish. And this one here is like a chrome plate finish with a dull matte look to the metal, so not as nice. Instructions, screws, that's the screw pack you get there with even a removal tool. On this one here we got 4 screws, and we didn't even get the screws for this one here, so we didn't even get them. So we paid for a sample and we didn't even get screws. Awesome. Alright, so big difference in the quality. They both look identical. They're both called tie bolt locks, but unfortunately, if you were to get a lock from this one here, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the same as all the iconic ones in Bunnings. I might even just go pay $8 and bring one and pull one apart just to find out. But yeah, I see these type of locks all over the place, and to date I have not been impressed with any part of them, apart from the fact that they cost $8 and you might get a couple of months use out of them. That's the only thing they're good for. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't install them because they're just going to cost you more time, more labor to get it undone. The latch is the most expensive thing. When you've got this part that's come separated and it's inside a door that you can't access because the door's stuck in the frame, you're in a lot of hurt right about then, and that's because of the cheap quality of locks. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching.